So for those of you that are new to my webinars, my name is Jessica and I'm from Family Zone, and the webinar you've joined tonight is called Managing Screen Time During School Holidays. What an important topic, yeah? So firstly, let's go through the housekeepings. So if you are new to Zoom, I just wanted to explain webinars just a tiny bit before we get started, mainly just to put your mind at ease. So if you're new to webinars, the difference between a Zoom meeting and a Zoom webinar is you should be able to see and hear me, but I cannot see you or hear you, and nobody else can see or hear you either. So you are in complete privacy in your lounge room, in your jammies, or whatever makes you comfortable. Nobody can see you and judge you. Also, have a look at the toolbar that you should be able to see. There's lots of buttons there, but there's one that says Q&A. Now, the Q&A button, you can write your questions in there, and hopefully at the end, I'll be able to get to a few of those questions. Now, you can type those in there anonymously if you don't want to leave your name, but nobody else can see those questions except for me. Yeah, and at the end, we'll go through a few of those questions, and I'll also direct you to other areas where you can get help. Yeah, so let's get started. Let's get into this agenda. So we've already been through the housekeepings, and I'll introduce myself properly in a second, but I just want to run through this agenda. So school holiday screen time, is it really a problem? That's what we'll be covering tonight. I'll show you how to manage it as well with Family Zone. And then I'll show you what your children have access to and how you can make changes to that, and also where you can get help should you need some more help from Family Zone. Yeah, so before I go any further, I better introduce myself properly, because I can't just presume that you've all been to all my webinars before. If you have been to my previous webinars, I'm sorry I'm boring you with the same intro slide. But as you can see here, there's my family. I'm married with a couple of kids, just like you guys. I have a broad background in the criminal justice industry. What that means is I worked for the Department of Justice for a really long time, and I worked for the police for over 10 years as well. With the last part of my time at police, I was in the sex crime division in the little cyber area. And that's basically what sparked my passion and what led me to join Family Zone, because of what I was seeing and working on with the police. And my two little kids were really little at that stage. I really, saw firsthand that I had to really set up my house better in a cyber safety way for my kids. And it made me really passionate about cyber safety and wanted to do something a bit more preventative and be able to help folks like yourself keep your kids safe online so they don't end up in places where, and in situations that I saw. Yeah, so I've been with Family Zone since 2017 and I really love doing this sort of thing, showing parents how to use Family Zone and how we can get involved with what our kids are doing online and make it a little bit safer for them as well. Yeah. So before we get started on how Family Zone can help you, I just thought I would address the issue, like, is school holidays really a problem? I designed this webinar because from what we're seeing and what we're hearing from our cyber experts is it really is a problem. Device use and internet use just skyrockets during school holidays, and quite often parents like myself, like you guys, we've still got to work. So how are we juggling making sure we're managing how much time our kids are spending online and still getting to work and running a household? Family Zone partners with lots of cyber experts, and YSafe is just one of them. And definitely through conversations I've had with Jordan, she sees that, it really does increase, internet use really increases for our kids when they're just, sitting around at home. And that's where Family Zone can come in and help you. But I do know that, Family Zone is not this silver bullet to come in and solve all your screen time issues. Yeah, we still need to do a few other things in our household, and that's where I turned to another one of our cyber experts, Dr. Christie. Now, she is a mum herself. She's just had another little one actually, and she has some fantastic tips here on how we can really manage screen time, not just with the use of Family Zone, but some other things too. So I took this from a blog that we wrote with Dr. Christie, and I'll make sure that you guys get a copy of that blog as well. But these were the top tips that I took from Dr. Christie. Obviously, number 7 is to get Family Zone in place. But let's start at the top. Number 1, create a plan. Now, this is probably my biggest tip as well, not just around holiday time, but in general. You know, what are the rules in your household around using devices? Yeah, how long are your kids allowed to stay online? When do they have to put it away? You know, what areas of the house can they use it? What can they access? Things like that. Our kids really like to know what the plan is, what the rules are, and what the boundaries are. Sure, they'll try and push those boundaries, but they just feel a lot more comfortable if they have some boundaries and know the rules, yeah? So sit down with your kids and get them to help you with the rules. They're much more inclined to follow those rules if they were part of making them. The next one there, number 2, help them find content, yeah? Because as we know, time online is not all the same, is it? So, you know, mindless scrolling and YouTube watching can be just really, you know, detrimental, but there's lots of fantastic educational things online as well. So perhaps if you set up a plan of what your kids can do online, it'll keep them busy with really beneficial things. All right, and number 3, the 20-20-20 rule. This, you know, this is one that we need as adults should be doing as well. You know, taking that break after 20 minutes, moving away from the screen, looking at something else that's a little bit further away, and blinking, getting that, you know, those eye ducts working, getting some moisture back in our eyes before we start staring at the screen again. So important for us adults as well as the kids. Number 4, now my kids love this one, get involved. Play the game, mum and dad. You know, I am officially the worst at Fortnite in my household, but my kids absolutely love how badly I suck at it, and they get a real kick out of it. But by being involved in what they're doing, it's really showing them that we care about what they're doing and we value them as well, yeah? You know, Fortnite's not very important to me, but to my kids, it's, you know, the biggest thing out there, yeah? That's the most important thing in their life at the moment. Number 5, green time, time out and in nature. You know, that just goes without saying, doesn't it? So when they're taking the 20-20-20 rule, get outside, climb that tree, you know, kick the footy around, but also make sure that they're having a good break from technology before you want them to go to sleep. And that really leads into number 6, and that's, you know, keeping devices out of these no-tech areas like bedrooms, bathrooms, and you know, things like that. So number 7 is definitely get Family Zone, yeah? So you've got all these, you know, parenting things in place, but then, you know, the next thing you can do is get some assistance from Family Zone to make our life just so much easier. So before I dive into the demo about how we can help you manage screen time these school holidays, I thought I'd just quickly go over what is Family Zone, just in case this is the first webinar you've been to. What is Family Zone? Well, we're a parental control, but we're a cyber safety platform, yeah? So the real aim is to keep your kids safe online no matter what device they're using or what source of internet they're connected to, yeah? And some of these benefits are listed along your screen now. So, you know, what we're talking about tonight is screen time. How can we help you manage that screen time? We also filter the internet content. So what that means is removing removing all that adult content that we don't want our little kids seeing. We help you manage screen time. For the older kids, it's managing, and for the little kids, it's stopping them from, you know, going onto those platforms that really aren't little kid friendly. Some of the other things, you know, managing gaming, how long they're on there for, and, you know, helping you with the reports and the alerts. Yeah, so that's what Family Zone is. But what I'm going to do tonight is show you how you can use Family Zone to really manage that screen time during the school holiday periods. So when they're online and what they're doing online. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen just for a second. And what I'm going to do is connect to my Family Zone account. Here we go. And bear with me while I share my screen again. So what you're looking at here is my Family Zone account. I'll just double check that that's working. Bear with me. There we go. Let me know if that's not sharing properly, but you should be able to see my phone, yeah? And I've just opened my Family Zone app. So if you just click on your Family Zone app, you should be able to see your kids. One of the fantastic new features is you can put photos of your kids on their little profiles now. The photos of my kids there make me laugh so much. They're such characters. But what I'm going to do is dive into Matilda's little profile here. So if I click on Matilda and I scroll down, this is everything to do with Matilda and her little profile here. Sorry, I'm just going to close those questions. So everything to do with Matilda, her routines, her devices can all be found here. So I really encourage you to come in here and have a look around, click on all the buttons and get yourself familiar with this. But what I'm going to do right now is dive into Matilda's routine. So Matilda's routines and calendars is probably the #1 way that we manage Matilda's screen time. If you scroll, you can see there's 2 types of routines here. There's the school days and there's the rest days, yeah? But let's have a look at this school day first. So you can see that there's lots of different colours here, and that identifies what access period Matilda is in. So when it's black like this and there's the little moon, that means that Matilda should be asleep. So she doesn't have any internet access, yeah? But then, you know, and that's really the first way that we're managing Matilda's screen time is making sure that, you know, she's not Snapchatting under the doona cover at 2 o'clock in the morning, yeah? So we're turning off her internet so that she gets a really good night's sleep. Then you can see in the morning time, she has a little bit of playtime there, and that's identified by the colour green and the gaming console, yeah? So Matilda can access the internet at that time, but it's filtered internet to an age level that's appropriate for your child, yeah? So Matilda's only 10, so she comes in the age profile of 9 to 12, yeah? So then Matilda goes to school, and that's identified by the colour blue and the little symbol of the school. In the afternoon time, she has some more playtime. And then in the later afternoon, she has some study time, yeah? And then at 7 o'clock, her internet gets turned off. But so that is a school day, yeah? But what happens on weekends and school holidays? Well, Matilda will fall onto what we call a rest day, yeah? And you can set this routine up any way that's suitable in your household, whatever the rules are for internet use and device use for your children, yeah? And that's the beauty of Family Zone, because no 2 families are the same. We might be really strict in our household, and next door, their kids have a little bit more freedom, and that's perfectly fine. It's up to you. You can see on Matilda's routine here, she has some playtime in the morning time. I'm secretly hoping she'll give me a sleep in. That never happens. But I really don't want her sitting on the device all day long. So what I've done is I've just put her device to sleep there from 12 till 3. I want them outside. I want them, you know, kicking the footy. We're going to take the dog for a walk, whatever. And then in the afternoon, she can have some playtime, yeah? But if you want to change the way this looks, You know, if you're going out longer and you want to give them more time outside, you can simply click on it, choose the access period and drag it over like that, yeah? Click and drag. So you can see that I've dragged that over and just extended that, or you can just pull it down like that, yeah? So now Matilda has a large chunk throughout the day where she won't have any internet access, yeah? So these routines, what I'm going to do now is go back to Matilda and dive into her calendar and show you how the routines come together. So you can see there the grey days, they're Matilda's rest days. So that's when she was at home with me doing remote learning. And then on the 15th of June, she went back to school, and those blue days are her school days. And you can see on the Saturdays and Sundays, they're rest days as well. But as we go into July, you'll see that we want to put some school holidays in there, yeah? So Matilda's school starts on the 6th of July. So if I click on that, I can change it to a rest day. And what that message is saying is that I'm just overriding the school policy, and that's perfectly fine because Matilda's going to be on school holidays. So now you can see that I've changed the 6th of July to a rest day. But Matilda's going to be off school for 2 weeks. So rather than doing every individual day like that, I can come in and click add rest days. And you can see there I can add a large chunk there. So I can add the 2 weeks in one go, yeah? And what that basically means is Matilda will be on her rest days. Let's have another look at it. And I will be in charge of her internet access, yeah? So when she's allowed to be on the internet and when she's not allowed to be on the internet, yeah? And really simple to make changes as well. So that's probably one of the biggest ways we can help you manage your kids' screen time during school holidays. Just have a bit more control about how long they're online and, you know, when you want them online and when you want them off, yeah? The other thing that I'll show you is this one here, the internet filters and rules, yeah? So we're still in Matilda's profile. I'm clicking on Matilda. I'm scrolling down and just clicking here, the internet filters and rules. So where we're going now is really, I like to describe it as like the back end of Family Zone. It's how we help you control what they can do on the internet, you know, what social media they can access, what websites they can access and when. So the first thing that most kids are going to want to know is what social networks and games do I have access to? So you can see up the top here, there is a, just move that out of the way. There's a little drop down box up the top here, and you can select what you want to review. Again, I suggest you come in here and have a look at all these different features because this is where you really will work out how Family Zone works and what your kids have access to. So I'm going to select the social networks and games, and that will click over. So as you can see, Matilda's in the children 9 to 12-year-olds group. So she really doesn't have a lot of access here because these are all, you know, social media platforms and gaming sites that are just too old for Matilda. She's just too little to have access to this sort of thing. Now you can see here she's got some access to Fortnite because she's played a game last night with Dad, but I don't want her using Fortnite when Dad's not around. So if I just click on that, I can block that, yeah? Now, if I want to open up anything here, I can simply click on it again. And just to remind you what these access periods are, so the gaming console there represents playtime. The picture of the school represents school time. The study book represents study time, so homework time. And the moon represents night time. So during school and study time, they can still access the internet, but it's for educational internet only. so they don't get distracted by, you know, this sort of stuff, the gaming and social media. Yeah. So that's how you can see what your kids have access to during the different access periods. But I will show you also in this area, the search and streaming media. I'll just click on that one as well, because this is where the all famous YouTube is. So also, as you scroll down, you'll see it's where you'll find all the streaming media. So things like, you know, Netflix, Disney Plus, Stan, Spotify, all that sort of stuff, anything that's streamed. But at the top of this area is where you'll find YouTube. So just a quick one on YouTube, because I always get asked this question, why is it split into two lots there? We have the general YouTube access and the mature content. So what that means is general YouTube is gives your kids a little bit more access than YouTube for kids. It's anything that's been categorized by YouTube, whereas the mature one underneath that has been categorized as mature content. Yeah, so for, you know, that older teenage adult sort of age. Yeah. So, and again, if you want to make any changes here, I've got this open for Matilda, but if I want to block this up, I can simply click on it and block that for Matilda quite easily. Yeah. But again, this is just a tool for parents to use. You can use this however you see fit. Yeah. So the other thing I want to show you, I want to go right out of here and go back to Matilda's profile and just show you another area to see what your kids have access to, because if you've got Family Zone on their phones or tablets, you'll also be able to see what apps they've got on their devices. So you can see here apps. If I click on that, and this is another way that you can really manage their screen time, because you'll be able to manage what apps they have and just really educate yourself on what they mean as well. So here you can see, you know, Matilda's apps. You can also filter it here in the corner. So have a play around with the filter. You can filter it by device, by platform, or by cyber expert rating. So if I choose the cyber expert rating, you can then filter it by, let's have a look if Matilda has any unsafe apps. And you can see there that she's got Viper, which is a messaging app. Now, that's been rated by the cyber experts as unsafe. Let's check out why. So you can click on that and have a read and see why that's deemed unsafe for Matilda. So it'll give you a description of what the app is and, you know, why that may be dangerous for Matilda. It's a really great way to keep yourself up to date with what apps your kids are using and whether our cyber expert deem them appropriate for your children or not. Yeah. So that was all I was going to show you tonight. Let's scroll back here. But what I'm going to do is stop sharing my screen, and I'm really happy to take any questions. Now, if you've seen everything that you need to see tonight, then you're more than welcome to finish up. But if you'd like to stay for the question times, you're more than welcome to stay for the questions as well. But I will hit stop on the record so our recording doesn't go too far. So if you are leaving us now, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you all here, and I hope you found that helpful. If you do need some more assistance, I've got a few things on the slide for you now. Just make sure, yeah, my screen is sharing. Make sure I'm sharing the correct screen. Here we go. The Family Zone YouTube channel is a really fantastic resource. If you go into YouTube and just search Family Zone Cyber Safety, you'll be able to see all our videos. We have lots of little snippet videos on how to do different things. So like the routines and calendars I showed you tonight, there are little snippet videos just 2 minutes long that you can watch how to do just that specific thing. We also have our events calendar. where you can go and see what other webinars and events are coming up. There's no in-person events at the moment because of COVID, but lots of really exciting webinars coming up, including webinars with cyber experts. I've got a really exciting one coming up. And if you need help from our awesome support team, you can head to the Contact Us on our website, and the guys and gals there, super clever, they'll be able to help you with any of your questions.